Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 68 of the Whatnauts review show, where each week we have a different story to talk about. Could be a comic book, TV show, movie, doesn't matter. We read it, we watch it, we do what we have to do, come back here and talk about it. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined on the opposite side of this computer screen by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, I'm going to switch it up, and instead of asking you how are you or what have you been up to this week,
who are you?
Who are you? No, I'm gonna ask, what are you doing today? What are your plans after this? Do you have anything going on?
I do. I have to watch some cartoons, and then my brother is coming over, and we were going to record some test podcast episodes for a show we want to do about obscure old cartoons.
Okay.
So we're actually going to put
good stuff
to tape, as it were, today and get us a proof of concept and see how feasible this is.
So I did not know you were doing that. That's not why I was like, hey, Melissa, what are you doing today? Hint, hint. No, I didn't know. I was just like, I'm gonna switch things up. What are you doing today? I like
the specific question. What are you doing today?
A whole lot of nothing, I think. I can't decide if I want to like venture out into the world and go get groceries today or not, or if I should go tomorrow. But I kind of just want to stay inside. Do a whole lot of nothing. Last night I finished watching Titans, which is what we're talking about today. I think Friday night. Yeah, it was late Friday night, and then last night I finished watching season 3 of Money Heist.
Oh yes.
Which you and I have talked about potentially doing a Reactor Core episode on, so we'll have to talk after this about when we should do that. But yeah, a whole lot of nothing for me today. It's good. Good stuff. A good relaxing day. We are here to talk about season 1 of Titans. So this is the DC original, or the DC Universe original television show. I guess I don't even know if I can call it a television show. Just original series. We'll stick with that. This is, of course, based off of the Teen Titans comics, or the Titans comics, or the new Teen Titans. They go by so many different names. First thing I want to ask you, Melissa, is what is your experience with the Teen Titans thus far? Did you watch the cartoons growing up? What's the deal there?
I did watch Teen Titans and then also Teen Titans Go. I watched some of both of them, but...
Did you watch Teen Titans Go to the movies?
I have not yet, but I've heard that's actually so fun.
It's actually
I would
fantastic,
really like to someday. I have yet to have sat down and made it happen, even though I know it's the future and it's right at my fingertips. So I've seen Teen Titans, but I never watched it all the way through. Like, I don't even know if I finished an entire first season. I sort of watched it when it happened to be in front of me. Okay, I'm 12 years old, and I'm bad at following a series very well.
I was kind of the same way, where I still, to this day, I don't think I've sat down to watch the entire thing, but I think I've seen most of it.
Yeah.
I did, however, I was really into like Batman, the animated series and stuff like that. So I was watching those shows and stuff like that. Comic book wise, I never really got into them. I did, however, read Marv Wolfman and George Perez's run on the Titans, which is kind of what this is basically pulling from this show. That's one of the big inspirations there. But that is like early 80s comics. So they're really dense, really wordy. They just move at a much slower pace, but they pack in so much more. I guess it moves slower because there is so much more. You have to take time to do all that stuff. Anyways, I like the Teen Titans. I just haven't gotten into them fully, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I don't know a terrible lot about them. I don't know if it's always these 5 or 4 as the case may be, or if
Not
it's
always.
something like an X-Men where it's like, oh, the roster is switched a dozen times.
So, fun fact, I actually
Mhm.
have the very first issue of the Teen Titans.
Oh,
In fact, I have issues 1 through 43.
that's a
Of
lot.
yeah, because my dad collected them and he gave me all of his comics. And so yeah, issue 1 of the Teen Titans, when they're like, hey, we're all the sidekicks, we should form a team, you know.
Mhm.
So I have that, and yeah, the team roster changes, but the basic conceit is, yeah, this is all of the sidekicks or the child
Mm,
counterparts,
okay.
right? You have Robin, you have Kid Flash, you have Wonder
Mm,
Girl or Aqualad, stuff like that.
yeah.
So there you go. Uh, So let's do what we normally do on the show. Let's do a
Mhm.
brief synopsis, do our general thoughts, and
Yeah.
then we will dive into spoilers and start
Mhm.
discussing season 1 here and start breaking it down.
Mhm.
So this, of course, we just mentioned, it is based off of the Teen Titans comics, of which there are multiple titles. But this story uh, basically starts out with Dick Grayson, who
Mhm.
you guys might know as Robin. He
Mhm.
is the first original Robin, and he is now a police detective. I forget which city he was in. I think he was in Detroit.
Yeah.
Um, so he's at a time in his life where he has left Batman behind, and he runs into this girl named Rachel Roth,
Mhm.
and she has these mysterious powers, these kind of demon-like, who knows exactly what they are.
Yep.
It seems like she's kind of possessed, and she just witnessed the murder of her mother.
Mhm.
And she goes to the police department for help, and she starts talking to Dick Grayson because she has seen him in visions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So she knows he can help.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's kind of what starts things off. The whole idea behind this show is that something is coming. We don't know
Yes.
exactly what it is yet, but some evil or some major force that is going to have whole lot of power is coming, and we need to do something about it.
Mhm.
And like I said at the start, Raven is talking to Dick Grayson because she doesn't even know the extent of what is coming. She just knows, hey, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
Can you help me? So that's how the story starts out, but we also meet characters like Starfire,
Mhm.
we meet Beast Boy, and we even have some surprise characters that I was not expecting in this show.
Yeah.
Guys, we'll have to dig into the spoiler section
Mhm.
to find out. Do you feel like I kind of covered the
Yeah,
basic
I think
synopsis of
this
what's
is there's a
happening there?
lot going on here. So yes, I would say that is the basic synopsis.
Without really spoiling stuff.
Yeah, it kind of moves towards demonic spookiness, and the team picks up friends and sort of loses friends and shifts along the way. And we're going to
Mm-hmm.
see if they all come together and they're able to defeat this demonic spookiness together as a team.
Yeah, yeah. So, what did you think?
I
Just
like
general thoughts.
I liked this more than I thought I would like it.
Okay,
I think
good.
because people did not react well to that first trailer they released where it's just Robin saying
Fuck
"fuck
Batman.
Batman." And so people are like, "Oh, this looks like a really obnoxious, dark, gritty reboot. We don't need this. Why are you doing this?" But the show actually has so much more to it than that.
Uh-huh.
It's on the grim side, but it's
Definitely.
not like that all the way through. There's a lot of levity to it. There's a lot of heart to it. It's mo it's mostly centered around Dick.
Yeah. Um. so it's an interesting thing because yeah, that first trailer came out,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't feeling it that much.
Mm-hmm.
However, I understood where they were coming from.
Yeah.
There is a very important story beat in Dick Grayson's life where
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't really want to be under the wing of Batman anymore. He
Yeah.
thinks Batman is treating him like a child.
Mm-hmm.
And he is starting to not like the tactics. He's like, "Hey, we're being a little bit more violent than we should be.
Yeah.
We're being a lot more cold to people. You're being mean to me. Like
Hmm.
you know me. I like what the hell, you know." Dick Grayson has always kind of been the more fun one.
He is the circus boy.
He is the circus boy. He's generally more happy-go-lucky. Not necessarily all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
there in the comics there is precedent where he becomes Batman for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and there are times when the villains notice that's like something's weird with you. You're happier than
Why are
what
your
I know.
moves so acrobatic?
Yeah, so you know he's generally seen as the little bit more happier
Mm-hmm.
one, but he does have this time where he's kind of figuring out who he wants to be, and he does have this very angry disposition where I think in the comics he just got into a gunfight with the Joker. He got shot
Mm-hmm.
at and all of this stuff, and
Yeah.
that man is sitting there like, what the hell? This is why you should not go out there. He's like, I can take care of my goddamn self. Fuck off. God damn it.
You're not my real dad.
Yeah, you're not my real dad. So like he's in a tumultuous
Mm.
time in his life, so I can kind of understand it.
Yeah. I like that they're not all teens. Like Rachel and Gar are teens,
Hmm.
and Dick and Kory are they're like 28
They're
or like
adults.
yeah, they are adults. They might be slightly older than we are. It's hard to gauge, but I kind of like that they played with that. I like that they're not all exactly on the same level.
Yeah.
Also, Cyborg is not in this, which I was not aware of going into it.
Uh-huh.
And at first I thought, oh, maybe they're trying to make something that does not, even if it's not exactly canonical, it doesn't disagree with the current cinematic universe canon where Cyborg is in the Justice League. And then I looked up Doom Patrol and I'm like, oh,
I was
that's
gonna
where
say,
he
yeah.
is. Okay, he's just over there on the other show on the network.
Yep. He makes his appearance in Doom Patrol. But yeah, so I feel very, very conflicted with this show.
I
I
understand that. Yes.
I like it a lot. There's a ton of great moments
Mhm.
in this show, but I'm wondering if I feel like this show ends up just being a good collection of moments rather than this is a fantastic show with an amazing plot and all, you know,
Mhm.
just like it's not necessarily the whole package, but it also kind of is. It's just not exactly the way I wanted it, and it's so I'm very conflicted on this show, but I do like it. That makes
Yeah, and
sense.
I can definitely tell from what little I know, this is a very different take on how the Teen Titans normally are. See, above, they're not all teens. So I don't know how somebody more engrossed in comics would feel about it, but for me as a layperson, I'm like, this is different, but it makes sense to me still.
They eventually dropped the teen
Mm.
from the name. They are just the Titans because yeah, in the comics they did kind of grow up. Um, but yeah, I thought that was an interesting choice that they were
Hmm.
older and stuff like that. But I do have to say, I think some of the standout performances was Starfire. I
Yeah,
think she was fantastic.
I think the
Um,
whole show is pretty well cast. I really like the performances in this.
yeah, there's a lot of really great acting. I think the actor who played Dick Grayson, I don't have his
Hmm.
name pulled up here. It is Brenton Thwaites. I thought he was also fantastic. I
Yeah.
thought he looked the part perfectly.
Exactly. Like he's exactly as boyish as he is supposed to be. Like the boyish to manly slider was set at exactly
Exactly
the right point.
50%.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He was not too fresh-faced or too grizzled. Right in
Yeah.
the middle.
Yeah, but you can tell he's seen some shit because he
Mm-hmm.
grew up in Gotham and now he's in Detroit, which is probably not much better.
Oh, another thing I just want to say real quick. I know we're talking a lot before we even get to housekeeping and the spoiler break. I love that this show pretty much takes place across the Midwest, like it's in
Mm-hmm.
Detroit, Chicago, farmhouse in Ohio. It's in St. Louis briefly for a little
Yeah,
bit, which I really appreciated.
I remember
There's like little
seeing that.
bits here and there that are in Gotham City, but they're mostly flashbacks. I like that it's just set among normal middle of the country real American towns.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty neat. That's one thing that DC usually doesn't do. They
Yeah.
they have Gotham, they have Metropolis, they have Keystone, they have Central City. They're all fake
Who lives
cities.
in Keystone?
It's like the twins. It's Keystone and Central are kind of like twin
Okay.
cities. It's where the Flash is, and I think Barry is in Central and Jay Garrick is in Keystone.
Okay. I've only ever heard of Central City.
It, it, it's sometimes it's that they're like twin cities. Sometimes it's that like it's the same city just on a different Earth. They have different names. So
Okay.
there you go. But yeah, let's get into housekeeping really fast, and then we can get on to spoilers. Housekeeping for you, kind of funny enough that we covered some Teen Titans stuff. We are going to be covering some more DC stuff for a Patreon exclusive episode of the review show. We're going to be talking about it's going to be a compare and contrast episode on Superman Annual number 11 and Justice League Unlimited episode 2, which is they're both entitled For the Man Who Has Everything, and it's a Superman story. The comic is written by Alan Moore with art by Dave Gibbons, and of course the DC animated series is always good fun. So be on the lookout for that. Patreon.com/the Whatnauts is where you can support us and get all of that stuff. Melissa, last week here on the review show, we covered a show called Sweetness and Lightning. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, this is the super cute anime series about a single dad who works as a teacher and is so busy, and he doesn't know how to cook for his little like kindergarten daughter. He just makes her like frozen meals and pre-made stuff and what he gets at the convenience store. And he finds that one of his students, her mother owns a restaurant and she knows how to cook in theory, but doesn't have like any of her own personal practice. So the two of them join forces. He goes over to the restaurant during its off hours, and together they're going to learn how to cook a good homemade meal for this little girl.
Exactly.
It's adorable.
It is probably the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life.
You get to learn a lot about Japanese cuisine too.
Yeah. We also just did an episode of the Captain's Log, again, which you can get on our website, thewhatnauts.com, or you can just search for all of our podcasts by searching The Whatnauts, wherever you get your podcasts. But we just did an episode of the Captain's Log all about the new Marvel movies that were announced. Phase 4. So that was super exciting. We got to talk about all of that stuff. So go check that stuff out. But that being said, let's get on to spoilers. Fingers crossed that the spoiler thing works. It does.
Oh, way to go.
There we go. We had that like 2 episodes ago that it was like, I'm just not gonna work. Like, fine. But yeah, spoiler stuff. I think I think the first thing that I want to talk about is kind of the lack of I like overarching plot, or that's not even the right way to put it. It's the hook for this show. I felt like came in episode 10.
Yes.
What any other kind of normal TV show would have done as the hook of this show. I mean, not exactly. Like, I think what happened in episode 10, which was the introduction of Trigon, like finally coming.
Yeah.
I felt like that would have been maybe a little bit more early on, or that the team is now starting to fight together. Like it's this is why I'm so conflicted, because there's so many moments within this show.
Yes.
Like, there's the moment at the hotel where they do actually start to fight against the nuclear family.
Yeah.
And Robin is there. He finally reveals that he's Robin to them. And they're all like, fuck yeah, we just kicked their asses. It was just great. And they have that moment where they're all standing and, like, heroically. Like, there is that moment. But that's not till like episode 4 or something.
Yeah.
There is episode 10. Sorry, just one more thing. But like, there's that moment in episode 10 when Kory finds out that, like, hey, there's this whole thing with Trigon. He is coming. Rachel is the gateway. And then there's the thing with Donna, who's like, yeah, Kory's there to kill her. Like, I think somehow they had a better hook for this TV show that got spread out over all of these episodes instead of being put in the end of episode 1 or the start of episode 2.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, you can tell this in a general sense where the show is going. There's some sort of demonic force in Rachel, but then it's not until a little bit later than that you learn, oh, she's some sort of a gateway. She's supposed to let her dad through.
Right.
And then even then, like, you don't know, okay, how? What are the circumstances in which that will happen? Like, it's got some momentum, but there's so few specifics. It's like you kind of know where it's going, but you have no idea, like, what are the checkpoints we need to hit before we get there? Like, where are we? How close are we to something big and bad happening?
Yeah. And I was thinking back to Lost, since we both love that show. And the pilot of that show is amazing. Maybe one of the best pilots of all time, where they there is we get introduced to a bunch of characters. We don't necessarily know them, but then some catastrophic event happens and they are thrust into the unknown, this weird situation, and things finally start to calm down. They finally start to hunker in for the night, and then mechanical T-Rex sound coming from the jungle. Trees are falling, and they're just like, what the hell is happening? Where are we? There's that scene of Charlie just being like, where the hell are we? Right? It's so perfect to have that, like, that moment, that hook. And I think this show just skips that.
Yes. To me, it's like there is no big, like, there's no big gasp moment. Instead, the season is a series of, just like kind of at the same pace for all 11 episodes. Yeah. And it takes a while for the team to get together. And then even when they do get together, there's 4 of them. And there's some I love all the relationships in there, but like Dick and Gar never really get much of a dynamic with each other. They're not around each other long enough to say more than like a couple sentences directly from one to the other, and not like to the group as a whole. So like the team dynamics, what they have is so good, but it feels really incomplete.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? In issue 1,
Mhm.
of the new Teen Titans that Marv Wolfman did. It does kind of start with Dick Grayson having these nightmares about what's happening, and then it's Raven that is appearing to him in his dreams, and the dreams are more premonitions, but then Raven is telling him, hey, something is coming, we need to put a team together. So she
Mhm.
is kind of the impetus of like, hey, we need to do something about this. And then immediately he wakes up and he's like, hey, Wally, we should get the band back together. Hey, Donna, are you doing anything right now? Hey, hey, we should do so,
Mhm.
And so they all end up meeting up pretty much right away.
Mhm.
And that's basically how the team gets put together. And so I think not that the show needed a different hook, but I was kind of expecting the team to be put together sooner.
Yeah, and for
Um,
them to be more of a cohesive team for more than just, like, when they're at that motel and they know people will come for them, so they're like, "All right, what are the rest of your guys' powers?"
right.
And then it's not even they're not figuring out, "Okay, how do we work with each other? How do we put these together? How do we form, like, different combo moves or whatever?" It's like, "What do you do?" "Okay, well, I do this."
Yeah. It's like, we could do a fastball special.
Yes,
No.
exactly. That's what I wanted was the fastball special. And this show is not quite an ensemble show.
It's
It's
getting there.
it very well could be, but, like, it's not an ensemble show, but there's also not one clear protagonist. It's like you've got Dick and you've got Rachel, and then a couple shades below him is Kory, and shades below that is Gar. And I'm watching this and I'm like, who is the show about? Like, if I had to pick one person, and I'm like, it seems like it should be Dick, but you look at Rachel and it's like, this is the story where Rachel picks up a lot of friends.
So yeah. So my theory is, I guess
Mhm.
everything we've said so far isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No, like the show just feels slightly off, but I still really liked it. It's still compelling.
So I guess all of that goes to say that by the end of the show, the team is starting to come together. I think this
Yes.
will end up being an ensemble show,
Yeah.
but we haven't gotten there yet. And on one hand, like we've said, just compared to maybe what we're used to in television, it's
Mhm.
maybe not what we're looking for.
Yeah.
But I think comics, especially as a medium, do it a lot differently, where
Mm.
things, you don't necessarily have to have the band back together by the end of issue
Mhm.
one. The whole first volume could be about getting the team together.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think this is almost mimicking that of like, hey, if we were to take that format and put this into a TV show, what would it look like?
Mhm.
And I think looking at it through that lens, it does a really good job.
Okay.
It's fantastic of what they wouldn't just all of a sudden start trusting each other and be like, hey, let's make a fastball special,
This
like
does make sense. Yeah.
it's going to take time, and they almost don't have that time to think or actually deal with what is
Mhm.
happening, because so many things are happening at once.
Yeah.
um, and so on that hand, I really like this show that it's
Mhm.
it's it's saying, hey, we know what we're doing. We have a story we want to tell, but we're going to tell it at our own pace, and we're going to do this a very specific way.
Mhm.
And it's and I think at that you just kind of have to be like, all right, take me for a ride then, and
Yeah.
we'll see where it goes. So I'm actually very excited for season 2, which I think comes out in September, or starts to.
Okay.
I think they do, though, like one episode each week thing. Um, but yeah, I'm really excited to see where this goes, and I wanted to give a shout out to to Cloak and Dagger, which is a
Oh,
Marvel
yeah.
TV show. It's a Hulu original show.
Okay.
And there's 2 seasons out of that right now, and I think there's a third one coming down the pipeline real soon here. But they do a similar thing where when I think of Cloak and Dagger in my mind, it's them against the world. Like they are Bonnie and Clyde. It's that type of thing where they look out for one another, almost like Hawk and Dove was in this show, but not exactly. And the Cloak and Dagger show, most of that first season, like the first 3 or 4 episodes, they haven't even met. Like, it's 2 separate storylines. It's not like the A plot and the B one, which is like the minor one. It's 2 A plots. And eventually they're starting to like slowly work their way towards each other. And it's not until the end of season 2 that I really felt like this is what I know. This is where I want them to be. And I actually really liked that they did that because it gives you time to invest in these characters. So I think Titans is doing that same thing.
Yeah, like I agree with what you said, that the team is probably where it should be given how little time they've spent together. Like, yeah, they wouldn't be more cohesive. They haven't really learned to trust each other quite yet. I like when they do trust each other. Like, I like how I understand Rachel's relationship with Dick, where he keeps trying to like leave her, and it's always for very legitimate practical reasons. And she's like, okay, all right, you're going to dump me with somebody else then. You're going to run away again. And you tell me you're going to come back. And so far you have, but I do not have enough stability with you to really put hard faith in the fact that you're going to. But I also like that Kory's shows up and saves her and is like, I don't know who I am or who you are, but I get the feeling we'll be safe together. And Rachel's like, you know what? Okay. And then when she and Gar meet, like they're just both in an arcade at like a bowling alley or somewhere.
It's
and they
the
walk
Doom
up to
Patrol
each other.
mansion.
Oh, well, they meet before then.
Oh,
and then he takes her to the mansion.
Yeah. It's at the
and
arcade.
They just walk up to each other like, hi, I like your hair. Well, this is my name. Like, I like there's different shades and everybody's got a slightly different dynamic with each other. But, so I agree with what you said. They're not all of them as a combination of 4 at the level where they are a team yet. But it bugs me that they split the team so much. Like these 4 characters spend very little time being with each other. And I would have liked to have seen more time of them not emotionally together, but just physically together, geographically together. Like, I think there's like an episode and a half where it is the 4 of them in a space all together at
once.
once.
There's a scene where they're in the safe house.
Yeah.
Batman's safe house.
And then when they're in like that motel in Ohio somewhere, but somebody's always running off. Somebody's being kidnapped or whatever. Like, I just wanted more of, can you take the 4 major characters and put them in the same space with each other just a little bit more for me, please?
Yeah. So that being said, that's kind of my major gripe with the show. Besides that, I think this is mostly really good.
I liked a lot of it. I think the only other thing I didn't quite like is the Hank and Dawn episode. I think tries to do way too much.
Yeah.
Because it has a lot of very big, serious, important issues in it. But there's so many of them packed in there that I feel like all of them are underserved.
It was a filler episode, which makes me question, like, you have your own streaming platform. You don't have to, like, you're not beholden to any contracts of it has to be this many episodes.
Yeah, and the season's already 11 episodes long, which is
just been 10.
And,
but that being said, because that was the thing, I completely forgot about that one because it almost didn't matter for this show. But it's actually a good episode by itself. Like it
Mm-hmm.
just in and of itself, it is a good, well written show. I think Jeff Johns wrote that one, which he writes a whole. He used to write a whole bunch of comics. I think he still is writing some stuff. I'm not sure, but now
Mm-hmm.
he's trying to position himself as the like Kevin Feige of
Okay.
DC stuff, but he's written the Teen Titans before. He's written basically all of these characters, so he
Yeah.
knows these characters really well.
Yeah,
Um,
I really like Hank and
just
Dawn
a
as
great
characters.
episode.
I love their relationship with each other. It's just that that episode touches on like sexual abuse and physical abuse and like like terrible accidents and like grief counseling. Like it's so much big things all put into like 43 minutes.
Yeah,
And it's
a lot.
yeah, I like that's too many things that really need a serious deft touch to all go into one story at once. Like I'm like, can you take out one or two of these things, please? This feels a little overstuffed.
I'm wondering if it was almost a backdoor pilot, like
Yeah.
a testing to see of like, hey, we actually like the characters that we made in this show.
Hmm.
Can we kind of give them an episode to potentially see how it plays with fans, to see maybe we can do a mini series or something with them or
It
something.
did
Who
feel
knows?
like that too. Like the episode, I think it's like episode 4 does feel like, oh, this is just a Doom Patrol backdoor pilot.
Yeah,
Introducing Donna, I'm trying to
exactly.
figure out like, is this also a backdoor pilot?
Who knows?
Mhm. What did you think about the other side characters that were introduced? Because I didn't know anything about any of them. Like I think I'd heard the name Donna Troy once,
So
but I didn't know a
let's
thing
talk
about
about
her.
Donna Troy. But also let's not talk about Donna Troy because she's really confusing and her origin story is a mess.
Okay, I
Um
understand.
yeah, long story short, she is the like Wonder Woman
Hmm.
counterpart. That's what she had the lasso and stuff there. Her origin story is one of the most confusing, most retconned
Mm,
things in existence.
okay.
It's confused. At one point, I think I think originally when the character was conceived, she was like a computerized simulation of Wonder Woman.
What?
I could be very wrong on that though, because I haven't really dived into all of that stuff. When the new Teen Titans comic series starts that Marv Wolfman does, he gives her this origin story that she was rescued by Wonder Woman from a burning building, brought back to Paradise Island, where she was raised by Hippolyta and basically raised as an Amazon and eventually given their powers. Then Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, and that fucked with Wonder Woman's origin story, which means that those events could never have happened
Uh,
in her story. So what really did happen there? And they had to explore all of that stuff, and it was something else that had happened, and it's a mess. But it was nice to like say, I was like, that's Donna. That's Donna Troy. Oh my goodness.
mhm.
Yeah, so I loved seeing her in there. I hope she joins the team. I think she would be a great
Yeah, I liked her a
addition.
lot.
Um, it's a weird thing though, because I also don't want her to join the team. I think I do want the show to be more like teen centric, but because like I don't necessarily like that Dick is older, as old as he is. I should say that,
Hmm.
because the Teen Titans usually have very heavy-handed themes of identity and growing up.
Yeah.
And look, dude, if you're a detective in Detroit, you pretty much know who you are by now. Like
Mm.
you're a grown ass man. You're not having this crisis of
Yeah.
conscience of like, do I want to stay under Batman's tutelage? I don't know. Should I
Mhm.
like grow a mullet and become super into disco? Who knows? By the way, you should look up the original Nightwing costume because it is straight out of a disco.
You and Eric told me about this once.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
I've seen this thing.
disco dick. um, it's real bad. But I don't necessarily want older characters to continue joining the team because I think we'll start missing out on those themes of who I am as a person, who I am as a superhero, who am I in comparison to the person that I was a sidekick to.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if we continually add characters like Donna Troy, who seems to have found herself, we're
Yes.
not gonna get those themes, or it's gonna end up being a regression of those characters. Of like,
Mhm.
oh man, I thought I knew who I was. I had a good life. I was a photographer. I was about to get married. Like, yeah, you know. And it's gonna be like, do I want to get back into this? I don't, and that's not really what I want to see.
Yeah.
With the
Mhm.
Titans. So.
Mhm. Yeah, I think Donna is too stable to belong within the team, but I
Mhm.
want her to show up periodically. It's just like she is our rock, you
Yeah,
know.
have Dick
When we
go
need
to
help,
her
when we need
for
to crash
advice.
somewhere, when we need like real advice, we're gonna go to Donna.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dick and Kory are still they're still lost enough that they are like this is a young adult series.
Yeah.
Not teen, but young adult. Like I said,
Exactly.
they are I don't think either of them could be older than like 31, maybe.
Yeah.
They're probably around our age.
Yeah.
Who knows? And like they're so lost. Like they don't their senses. Kory just figured out. Oh, I'm from space. Okay. And then there's
I'm a
still the
fucking
whole question of yeah.
alien.
And then there's the whole question of like
God
what was
damn.
she doing in like Austria? Like what's that life she like left where she was
That
there for like a
I
year
will
or
say that
two?
that is, at least to my knowledge, I haven't read recent Teen Titan stuff,
Mm.
but to my knowledge, that's a very new take on Starfire.
Yeah, I this did not seem remotely familiar to me at all, but I liked it. Like I could tell this is different and I have no idea what a comics reader is going to think about it,
Mm-hmm.
but for me as just a viewer like I like all these concepts you were giving me.
Yeah. No, I guess speaking of Kory, I really like what they did with her. That she,
Yes.
because I think in comparison to maybe some of the earlier comics or the cartoons, she's maybe more of a valley girl, to put it
Yes.
as easy as possible.
Yes.
And I know in the comics she's a model, like that's her day job. Like,
Mhm.
and it to just see her have a lot more agency. Not that you can't have agency if you're a model or if you're into like
Mhm. Yeah.
unicorns and rainbows and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's just it's a much darker take.
Mhm.
Um, but I think they did it well, and so I was along for the ride.
Yeah, I also love what they did with her visually. I
Mhm.
loved all of her outfits and it's so big. She looks like a disco queen the
Yeah,
entire series. There's a lot of disco music playing around her. I love that they picked this one really specific dated aesthetic and they're like, "No, here we build our castle. We're
yeah,
gonna make our Starfire a disco queen here
yeah,
in the year 2018, 2017. I forget when this thing first came out, but yeah.
yeah. I I mean that I feel like kind of comes inherently with the character, where in the comics she has yellow skin,
Mm.
and it like is actually yellow, but so like she doesn't have that yellow skin, but she has this like almost purpley color clothes going on, and so they kind of take that, like, those colors where it's her like her red hair or her green eye. In the comics, her eyes are also that green the entire time. So I think they take those colors and this idea of that she is, like, her powers are light based, and they put that into her outfits of, like, all right, we're gonna give her stuff that's really flashy and that's reflective, and, you know, gives off this light, so it makes it look like she's kind of shimmering this whole time.
And like,
and it works really well.
It does. And like her makeup, like she's got such like metallic eyeshadow and really glossy lips and like a lot of illuminator on her face. Like she looks just luminescent and ethereal, just as, even when she's not doing anything remotely alien, just as herself. She's otherworldly. It's really great.
Yeah, exactly. Her and Robin, Dick, they do start up a relationship in the
This
comics.
I remember from the cartoons.
I remember, I think it was also in Wolfman's Run, there was this like it was one of those things that it was like they're kind of hinting that they like each other, but they're not really they're not explicitly exploring it. And then I think there was a scene where, like, it shows them naked in bed, and it was like, oh, okay, we're jumping straight there. Here we go. They are having some fun behind the scenes. So I liked the start of that relationship happening there. I did not like the whole thing with Dick and Dove, Minka Kelly's character. I was like, I don't like this.
Again, it's just like one other plot element. Like Hank and Dawn, I like them, but there's too many narrative hooks in them. You have to take a couple of them away.
On the other hand, though, I kind of like it because it's throwing you in the middle of this world where everything that we know from the comics basically exists, right? Batman is there, Superman is there. That is nice. They have history, right? And that's what these superheroes do. It's kind of just a glorified sex club. They all start hooking up with everyone.
I do like how lived in this world feels.
And they make references to so many things that I'm just like, they just referenced a time where Dick Grayson was Batman. Like, I didn't even know that was going to be a thing. Oh my goodness.
This is my favorite singular moment in this entire season. It's when Donna has taken Dick to the showing of her photographs. She's taken him into this art installation she has. And she says, I want you to go out there and mingle, like loosen up, have a drink or two, talk to people. And he's looking at this photograph, and this other guy comes up to him and is trying to make nice conversation. Like, oh, it's a really great angle, isn't it? And Dick just goes way too deep into it. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I've known Dawn since we were kids, and she's always been really into...
I'm sorry to interrupt. While you were talking, I was like, I'm going to Google search something about Donna. And all I typed in was Donna. And I hit enter on Google.
Donna.
I'm terrible. Continue. Sorry for interrupting.
So he goes really deep into, he just talks at this other guy for way too long. Like, oh, I've known Donna since we were kids. Like, my dad worked with her mom, I guess you could say. And like, we've known her forever. And like, I remember when she got her first camera, and she's always been really good at it. And she's really into he talks for so long. And the other guy's like, okay, I see my friend over there. I'm going to go.
It's not only that he's talking at the person, but he's like, it's just, it's exactly what Batman would do. It's so devoid of art and criticism that it's just the raw
specification.
Facts.
Yes. But so then it's Dick left standing alone in front of this photograph, and he just says, I wonder what the Penguin's doing right now.
It's terrible.
Like, I was laughing so hard I had to pause it. This is the dynamic I want. This is part of what made it feel so lived in and lush to me. Like, I like that years later, I'm trying to get out of the superhero game, but like when left to my own devices, I still sit there and think, what's that villain doing?
Mm-hmm.
Is he up to anything? And also, like, I don't know how to talk to people. I just know how to yell at the penguin. Can I go yell at the penguin tonight?
It's so good. So
Mm-mm.
good. So I was wondering because in the comics, Donna ends up marrying this guy named Terry Long,
Mm.
and I thought he was a photographer, but apparently not. I
Huh.
I uh eventually blah blah blah. The academic. He looks like he's more of a psychologist or a sociologist or something like that. But for some reason, I thought he was a photographer and he was the one that got her into photography.
Hmm.
But I guess I was wrong with that.
You know
Um,
what's another going back to the conversation we were having earlier about how the show kind of takes a while to get going and like the plot thread is kind of muddled. I have to stop and remember, oh yeah, there's so much police department stuff in like the first two episodes that doesn't go anywhere. Remember how like they gave Dick that partner and then she like
she just gets murdered.
yeah. I'm like, what? Why was that even
Well,
there?
so it's kind of there because I think at this point the police is looking for uh Rachel,
Mm,
but the nuclear family, I believe is what they're called, they're also
yeah.
looking for Rachel. Dick knows that he kind of needs to protect her because she didn't actually do anything wrong. He knows there's
Mm-hmm.
something happening here. There's some kind of supernatural superhero stuff going on. He doesn't necessarily want to deal with that, but he was like, all right, we need to get you somewhere safe away from all of this. So he's more running away from all of that, which if they eventually find out what he's doing, it's gonna be like, oh, Dick, maybe you're involved with this somehow. Why are you
Yeah.
abandoning? Like, why haven't they called him to be like, hey,
Yes.
where are you at? By the way, you should
Exactly.
be like, like the funeral's tomorrow for your new partner. Do you want to
Yeah.
come? Like,
Yes. Like they
I don't know.
introduce a lot of stuff and it doesn't really go anywhere. Like there's no consequences to it.
Like
He
that's that's why I was like, I don't really like him being a detective, like an
I
actual.
I was talking to my brother about this and James was like, I like that he has a job and he's not just sort of
I don't want him to have that job.
yeah, yeah, I do like that he's not just like a wayward vigilante of his own type. Like he tried to
I mean,
like do it by the
honestly,
book. I will be a legitimate police
yeah,
detective.
we just lost your camera or something on Skype.
Well now I can see me.
Okay,
Am I back?
you're
Okay.
back. But yeah, like I mean, honestly, I know he had a falling out with Bruce, but I'm kind of wondering, like, would he really just abandon all of the money that I know that Bruce would just give him to be like, hey, here's a couple $1 million to hold you
Yeah.
over for the month? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I that seems a little. I mean, on one hand, I get it. He just wants to wash his hands of
Mm-hmm.
Batman, so he's like, fuck this. I'm not gonna take your money. I'm gonna find my own way. So yeah, I like.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they chose right, but yeah, it is weird. That's like you're a grown ass adult, man. Why are
Yeah,
you in this show?
somebody should be missing you. Like he runs away and yeah, nobody calls him. Nobody's like, "Hey, it's Monday, Dick. Do you want to come into the office?" Nobody. Nobody is there. I want to talk about Jason Todd because
Yes,
he's the one that America voted to kill,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Okay. I
He's
really
the real
liked
dick.
yeah. I really liked that actor's performance cuz I can see
Perfect. Yeah,
you
he nailed it.
you are the jerk of all the Robins, but there's enough there that you are endearing to me also.
So, and yeah, they mentioned his origin story in this, and it was accurate.
Okay.
Batman finds him trying to steal the hubcaps off of the Batmobile because he's an orphan and he's living on the streets. His story is actually fairly interesting. I think he is hot-headed. He rushes into things without thinking, which eventually kind of gets him killed. And yeah, I don't like his personality, but he ends up being a fairly good character. But they make mention that his mom was uptown and his dad was downtown. Little hint for the comics. Turns out that's not his mom. And that's how everything starts with how he leads to his death there. But yeah. And side note, I guess to kind of spoil things, word on the street is that someone was in the when was it? Were they in the Marvel meeting or in the DC? I don't know. But if you noticed, around the same time, there was a story called like Under the Red Hood for Batman and Captain America Winter Soldier in the comics, and it's about these teen superhero sidekicks that were thought to be long dead coming back, and turns out they're this like vigilante assassin hitman stuff. So yeah, Captain America has Bucky Barnes that he thought was long dead. Turns out he got captured by the Red Skull and all of them, and got turned into the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
We just lost you on Skype again for some weird
I'm not
reason.
touching anything.
I don't know what's happening. You're back now. But then we have Jason Todd, who gets killed and eventually comes back as the Red Hood.
Okay.
And is the same type of character. It's just these are happening at the same time.
I've seen that animated movie a couple times, and it is really good.
Yeah. I really liked his character, so it was good. He was a dick.
Yes, it's so we were saying about Dick himself. Like we were saying about Dick himself, and that he's like not too boyish or too manly. He's right in the middle. Like Jason Todd is, oh my God, is this kid a brat? But there's something there where like he's not there to show off to Dick necessarily. He legitimately is like, you're kind of like my older brother. Yeah, I want to know more about you. And like when they're trying to get into Bruce's penthouse out there in Chicago, the safe house they have, Dick tries to use the retina scanner and he's not in it anymore. And Jason's like, it'll recognize me. And that's a line he very much could have been like, it'll recognize me.
Yeah.
But it's just like he recognizes, he's very aware of the fact that this is weird for Dick, that I am here and I have to be a little gentle about this. Like it's so deftly done.
Yeah. I don't know why your camera keeps going in and out. Apologies to the podcast, the audio listeners who are like, I don't watch the YouTube version.
Stop
talking about all this. I would use this opportunity to be like, hey, you guys can see our faces on YouTube, but apparently Skype does not want to share Melissa's face. You are back now, though.
Whenever they are there, I promise you, we got pretty good faces.
Yes. And so speaking of the Robins, DC continuity is always very complicated and muddled, and it's a nightmare to do all of that stuff of like, how old exactly are they? What is going on? Because there's a third Robin.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. There's Jason. There's Dick. There's Tim
Drake.
Tim? Okay, all right. I did it.
And I was wondering if we were gonna see him in this show, or an Easter egg of like, that's him. He's not going to be a part of the
Well,
show for
which one is
years.
he? What does a Tim Drake do?
Tim
Because I know
Drake,
there's the circus one and the one that America called in and said, "Yep, kill him." And what's the third type?
He's the detective. He is
Okay.
he figured out who Batman was on his own.
Okay. Ooh.
And he figured out who the original Robin was, because, as it turns out, he was there that day when Dick Grayson's, my mind just went blank, when his parents died at the circus. So if Dick Grayson was, let's say, 8 or 9 years old when they died, Jason Todd is maybe a year or two younger, and then Tim was maybe a year younger than that.
Okay.
So Tim would have been maybe 5 at the time.
I will solve this someday.
Yeah, but I mean, it's this thing where he really like enjoyed the circus, but then like saw this young kid like doing all this acrobatics. He's like, "Whoa, that's so cool!" And then it's like, "Oh shit! Like this is something bad just happened. I don't necessarily understand it, but that was like a very impactful moment for him." And he ended up kind of keeping up with like, where did that kid go? What happened to him? And it's that thing of like when he's out and about, he's like, I recognize those trapeze moves as he's doing the interesting. But yeah, I thought we were gonna see him, but we did not. Let's quickly talk about the Doom Patrol.
I loved them.
Like, I was not expecting to see them in this show at
me either.
All.
And like I was aware that Doom Patrol was a thing.
Yes.
I couldn't have told you specifically who was in it, like character-wise. All I knew was it's kind of a misfit team, and Brendan Fraser's on the show.
Yes.
And then you see this beautiful, like Frankenberry-looking shiny robot head, and out comes Brendan Fraser's voice. I love it. I was in love from second one at first sight. I love me the Doom Patrol now.
Yes, Doom Patrol is actually really awesome. So, let's see. I wonder if Wikipedia has this. It's probably later down in the article. They have a really interesting origin. It's also very similar to the story I just told about about Winter Soldier and Red Hood. Come on, where is... That's in other media. Oh, boo. Well, it's out there. So long story short...
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, so the first appearance of the Doom Patrol was June 1963, created by Arnold Drake, Bob Haney, and the artist Bruno Permiani.
Okay.
Again, word on the street is they were coming up with this idea about this team of weird misfits led by this strange doctor in a wheelchair.
Yes.
Very shortly before...
But ours has hair. Legally distinct. Very different.
Well, let's put it this way. Let me look this up so I get it right. Go to their Wikipedia page. Appearing in September of 1963. So only a few months later is the X-Men #1, a team of misfits led by a guy in a wheelchair. And yeah, it's one of those things that it's kind of Coke and Pepsi, like choose like they each do the same things, just slightly differently.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's one of those things that I think Marvel heard that that's what they were doing and was like, oh, we need to get something out similar to that. Um, and since then, the X-Men have taken off and they've become the more popular ones. That being said, there is a very, very famous run on the Doom Patrol. My mind is going blank. What's his name? The guy that did Animal Man.
Oh, Grant Morrison.
Yes, Grant Morrison. And I have read those comics, and let me tell you, holy shit, they're weird.
This is like Grant Morrison, yes.
If you could take all of Dolly's surrealist paintings and put them into comics, it would be that.
Wow.
There is a reference when Dick is asking around for where Rachel is. He asked that one person. He's like, he's at the Calder Mansion off on Danny Street. Danny the Street is a sentient street, by the way, and it can move around wherever it wants to, and all of that's like, it's weird. They have a storyline in the comics where the main villain is a genre of art, and they have to like go inside pictures and do all, and it's
every time when I think I get Grant Morrison, I understand his brand of weird. No, I never will.
No, it was fucking bananas. But it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then more recently, the Doom Patrol has kind of made a bit of a comeback because one Gerard Way, who wrote the Umbrella Academy and also happens to be the lead singer of My Chemical Romance, started writing Doom Patrol for DC Comics.
That makes sense.
So he's been doing that stuff. But yeah, it was strange for me to see the Doom Patrol in this show, though it kind of makes sense because Beast Boy does have some history with them. There was one point where he was a part of the team. And him and Robot Man are good friends.
They were good
old
friends.
Brendan Fraser. Yeah.
I want to talk about the villains really quick.
Okay. Trigon.
Yeah.
What do you think of him?
Interesting. Another odd thing about the show is that except for when, Doom Patrol shows up and it's like, oh, there's Brendan Fraser, there's Matt Bomer, I don't think I recognized a single actor I saw in this show, and I don't remember the last time that happened to me. But I'm looking at
You've probably seen Minka Kelly in something before. She was Dove.
I did see the name in the credits, and I'm like, this name has been in front of my eyes before at some point in my past, but I could not pinpoint it. Trigon was the one guy I'm like, I know you. He's one of the other detectives on Castle besides Castle.
Fort. Detective Fort. It's Castle and Fort.
I don't remember his name. Interesting. He shows up and he's so very, very normal. Yeah. I was expecting, if not a full demon, a guy who looked vaguely like a demon, and instead it's this very
comics,
normal
he very much
man.
is just this giant demon-looking thing.
That's because that's what I've seen in the cartoons. That's what I was expecting, and out he comes just a fella, just like the guy I bought my Hyundai from.
Yes. It was a choice to not do him in makeup or to use special effects or all CGI. I guess side note on that, there was a lot of weird choices with the CGI in this show.
Oh my god, yes. I want to talk about this briefly. There are so many scenes where it's just somebody like doing a jump or a flip or jumping out a window or something like that, and it's all digital.
And it was completely unnecessary.
I can only imagine it's because we have the interior of the building and the exterior of the building are two completely different buildings. We cannot have somebody jump out of this window outside because these windows don't open. This is a prop window. Like in the last episode when Batman jumps out the
But
window.
then have him jump out of a window and put green screen of the inside of the bit. Like, do it the opposite way.
Yes, it's so strange. Like, I understand if, like, for set concerns, oh, this is not one continual building we're using interiors and exteriors for. We have to stitch it together. But, like, you can rig up something beyond just, like, well, a CGI creation is just gonna swish around the screen and jump and flip.
And to me, it was just unnatural. Like, the
so
scene
unnatural.
The scene when Dick jumps out the window and does
Yes.
the acrobatic stuff onto the tree. No one does that. No one moves like that.
I don't buy that you couldn't find a stunt person who could do that and you had to computer it up.
Yeah, it is strange. Back to Trigon, though. I guess before we go back to Trigon, the other weird scene for me was that the car crash was all CGI. And it was off-putting. It was just like, whoa, wait, what? Why?
So not only is this big, terrible car accident happening very suddenly, when there's already been a lot of sad, heavy stuff in the Hank and Dawn episode.
Also moved unnaturally.
But then the car is also a digital creation.
And it didn't move like a car? It was so weird. It was just...
It's so jarring.
It was bad. But back to Trigon for real this time. Yeah, this is also one of those things I wish he would have shown up sooner.
Yeah.
He's evil, but you haven't shown me him doing anything evil. So, it's not much of a bad guy. Like, it's very lackluster in that sense.
He's so vague for the whole series. It's only it's like the second to last episode where we know he's kind of this interdimensional demonic being. This is his name. Like, it would have been nice if we would have had that a couple episodes early, because all we know is Rachel's got some sort of spooky dad she got her powers from.
If Kory had gotten some of her memories back earlier on, maybe episode 3 or 4, and that's when we find out that Raven is the doorway for Trigon to enter back into this world, that would have been enough, I think, for a plot hook of like, okay, we need to do something about this. We need to uncover the prophecy, figure it out, do what we need to do, cast whatever magic spell or whatever we need to do to stop this. But yeah, it doesn't come till the end, and then he shows up and he's like, it's like Leave It to Beaver style family reunion almost, and it's just like, okay, all right, season 2, you guys better do something.
I like the nuclear family and that doctor they worked for. I feel like that was well done, and like every time the show got close to like the horror elements of it,
did horror so well.
It was really effective. Yes, I think one of the most chilling things I have seen in entertainment recently is when Dr. Adamson he's always making brunch whenever you see him. It's not that he's always cooking, it's that he's always cooking a breakfast food, which is an interesting choice.
Hey, breakfast foods are good.
He cracks an egg in a bowl and it's got like a little bit of a chicken embryo in it, and he stares at it and then he just whisks it up anyway. And it's this like bloody egg mess that he just whisks and pours into the pan like normal.
Gross.
That's unsettling in like a fresh new way.
Yeah. I liked when they explored horror a lot. It's again one of those things like you had said, there's so much happening in this show. I think this easily could have been called Grayson, and it just follows him and what he does on his own, and it could be a cop crime show, and it would have been totally fine. I think this could have been a horror show focusing on Raven, and it would have been totally fine. I think it would have been great to have that mixed with her relationship with Gar and the Doom Patrol kind of showing up just how like weirdly horrific they are. And it could have been a show about Kory where she is I guess maybe more like a international super spy in this show is
Yes.
maybe
Yes.
what it is. Maybe not what I would want in a show about her, but still, like I feel like there was enough stuff with just her trying to uncover this prophecy and this plot and figure, like, they didn't really touch on the cult that is around Trigon and its followers
Yeah.
and the Raven. Like, Rachel Roth was never referred to as Raven. Like,
None of
she
them.
hasn't gotten that name yet,
Yeah,
but there were hints at it.
except for Dick as Robin, and I think eventually Donna decodes some language, some alien runes. She's like, "Oh,
The
your friend
word
Kory, her
Raven is
code name
around
is."
there. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, "Oh, your friend Kory, her code name is Starfire." Like most of them, the Beast Boy is never called Beast Boy, and I kind
Yeah.
of like that. I kind of like that slow burn to them actually getting named.
Yeah, and I don't mind that, but again, like, it's just there's so much in each of these specific storylines that I felt like I wonder if they stripped one or two of them out, if they took most of the Hawk and Dove stuff out, if they
Mm-hmm.
took maybe most of the Starfire stuff
Mm-hmm.
out and focused more on the horror aspect of Raven and her, like, mental psychology, what's
Mm-hmm.
happening there, what is happening to her, this teenage girl who
Yeah.
is basically being ripped apart from the inside because
Mm-hmm.
she's possessed by this
Yeah.
demon, basically, which is her father. And
Mm-hmm.
just how fucked up that whole thing is and what that does to someone so young, right? And yeah, and then this idea of, like, hey, you might have a lot of bad shit happening around you, but you can actually heal people too. Like, you
Yeah.
have this seed of a hope within you, and
Yes.
there's this fight of, like, how can I reach that when this is overwhelming and strong, and this is who I am, this is my
Mm-hmm.
DNA. Even though I do have that one power, it just seems like it's misplaced. I don't know.
There is
There's a lot.
so much going on in this series, and it's 11 episodes, and there are 10 episode orders out there, but mostly it's like 12 and 13 out in the TV landscape today. And also these are really on the short side. Like a lot of them clock in right at like 42 minutes.
Yeah,
So it's not a long watch, and they pack it in there. There's so much going on, and like for as messy as it kind of is sometimes,
I think
there's
it
a
works
lot
well,
of
though.
yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff in here. I was compelled. It didn't take me that long to like get into it. I think
Yeah,
like episode 3 I'm like, "All right, you've got me."
yeah, exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. I honestly, I feel like I could go on talking about this show for a lot
Yeah.
longer just based off of
Yes.
how much stuff there is. But I say we wrap it up there.
Mhm.
Do you have any kind of closing remarks on Titans season 1?
I did spend like the first couple episodes thinking, "Oh, remember when we watched Umbrella Academy? Wasn't that fun?" Because the show isn't exactly fun. It is in some moments, like the Doom Patrol.
Sure.
Gar's really fun. The nuclear family's kind of nifty,
Yeah.
but it's not quite as comic book wacky as the sorts of things I normally like to watch, but it eventually got there. Like this is like some shades darker than the normal tone I like, but overall like this still works for me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I say check it out. It is a little bit different from the normal formula
Mhm.
that a regular TV show will usually provide. But I think that's good to, like,
Yeah.
expand your horizons. I don't know if that's the
Mhm.
right word, but like, expand your knowledge of different storytelling styles and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's good. I had a lot of fun. I think the actors are phenomenal in
Yes.
this show. They're knocking
Really
it
good
out of the
performances in
park. Yeah.
this.
So
Mhm.
excited for season 2.
Yes,
I'm
I
stoked.
am.
I'm stoked.
Mhm.
If so, I guess we kind of mentioned Umbrella Academy
Yeah.
of like what else other people might like. Do you
Mm-hmm.
have anything else that you would be like, hey, if you liked this, go check out these other shows or books or who knows what?
No, I think Umbrella Academy is the closest match for me, even though that's got the tone of the thing is very different. The style of it is different. It's a lot more like legitimate family based. Like it's about all of these kids adopted by this
Yeah.
spooky old man. So we've got a lot of sibling relationships and
Yeah.
parent-child stuff going on there that isn't
If
here.
you
But
liked the Doom Patrol stuff in this, then I
yes.
think go check out
Mm,
Umbrella Academy for sure.
hmm
Anything else?
I think that's it. Yeah, that's all that I was thinking of.
Okay. Well, of course, there is a bunch of fantastic Teen Titans cartoons.
Hmm
I would highly recommend Young Justice.
hmm
That is another one of the DC animated cartoons. And it definitely does dive into the idea of identity and stuff like that. I think you know what, we didn't even mention the post-credit scene on the final episode. Did you stick around to watch that? After the credits, there's a scene. There's one more scene.
I don't think so.
So
No.
I'll explain it, and you should go back and watch
Okay.
it.
All right.
After the credits, it opens up with seemingly this kind of laboratory, and it says
Okay.
somewhere in Metropolis.
Ha
And it is it's this like science lab
Mhm.
thing, and something goes wrong. You don't see much of what happens, but something that they are experimenting on breaks free, and it starts walking around. It is a human figure. It looks like he is butt-ass naked. In fact, there's a scene that I feel like they CGI'd his dick out of it, but there you go. He looks like an action figure in that sense. But he's walking around, and he goes into this other room, and there's a cage in the middle of this room, and he walks up to the cage, and there's a dog in that cage, and this dog stands up, looks attentive, and his eyes glow red. And then you see an arm reach down and pull off the gate of the cage, and when the arm reaches down, you see a tattoo on the shoulder, and it's a Superman S. It's Superboy. Superboy's in the show.
Superboy and Crypto.
And Crypto,
I'm sorry to Superboy. I'm sure you're also nice. I'm very excited to get a legit dramatic take on Crypto the Wonder Dog.
So that came to mind because that is the same version of Superboy, or from what it seems like so far, that is in the Young Justice cartoon, and I really love that version where he is a clone of Superman. So we'll see. I would recommend that. Any other TV shows I would recommend? Honestly, I would almost recommend Daredevil, the Netflix Marvel show. That's a really, really good one. It is very dark. It's very violent. Doesn't focus on a whole team of stuff, but it's good. Good stuff.
Nice.
Good action. That's it for recommendations, but now it's time to move on to pitches. And Melissa, you better have some great stuff for me, because this is episode 68, and next week is going to be episode 69.
Yes. Be it luck, be it fate, I was granted the blessing of pitching the topics for episode 69.
Yes.
So,
you have 69, I have 420 if we ever get there.
So there was one clear option. There were a couple clear options from like, you have to lead with this one. This is a very good topic for episode 69. The comic Sex Criminals.
Good.
By Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky. I've been aware of this thing for a while. I've known people who have read it. I have never picked it up myself.
Yes. Okay, good.
Started in 2013, and the synopsis is Susie is a normal girl with an extraordinary ability. When she has sex, she stops time. One night she meets John, who has the same gift. And so they do what any other sex-having,
They
time-stopping
rob
couple would
banks.
do. They rob banks.
Yep. It's
This
great.
is not on Comixology Unlimited in English, it looks like. I looked it
Oh,
up,
weird.
and the description is entirely in French, which is weird.
That's strange.
But
Did they
I
have like a preview of the comic? Because sometimes they have like 2 or 3 pages you can look at.
I couldn't get to it for whatever reason, but it doesn't look like Comixology itself is a viable option. But this
It's
is a
worth
big enough,
checking out if you
yeah,
can find it
yeah, this is a
somewhere.
big enough comic that it should be easy to find somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I would like to read the first two trade paperbacks of this.
Cool. Good.
Okay.
Good stuff. I actually own those first two
Oh, convenient.
trade paperbacks. They are good. Good stuff.
Cool. Pitch number two is the movie Boogie Nights.
Okay.
Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
I've not seen it either because it came out when I was 7 years old. And I think as soon as I was old enough to know what it was, I'm like,
Why am I thinking this is this the one with John Travolta? What am I thinking
that's
of?
Saturday Night Fever.
Whatever.
Okay. This is a 1997 movie. This is directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, who's this
Okay.
big, very well regarded, like award-winning, like kind of artsy film director who I've heard the name a million times, and I don't think I've ever seen anything he's done.
Okay.
This is the story of a young man's adventures in the pornography industry in the late 1970s and early 1980s. This is a movie I have been hearing about my entire life. And
Uh-huh.
as a young person, I'm like, this sounds great for me as an adult. I will wait until I am the appropriate age to watch this film.
I will watch Z porns.
And I've not done it yet. I'm 28 dang years old. I've had like a whole decade of you can watch Boogie Nights and nobody would judge you for it. I haven't done it yet.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yes, yes. And if we pick this movie, this is two notable dicks 2 weeks in a row.
Okay.
Dick Grayson and all the full frontal male nudity in this film. And then pitch number three, I decided, okay, let's kind of put like the goofy, sexy stuff on hold. 69 is a legitimate year in human history, in cinematic history. What's a movie that came out in 1969? And I
Interesting.
found a pretty cool one. This is On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Okay.
This
I've
is
heard
a
of that, I think.
it's a James Bond movie.
Ah, that's
Starring
why.
George Lazenby, the man who was Bond only once. Like,
Okay.
Sean Connery left, they did this one movie, then George Lazenby was like, I'm not going to do it anymore, and then they had to bring Sean Connery back for like one or two more Bond movies.
Yep.
So it's a weird, a real oddity in the history of like one of cinema's most prolific franchises.
Yeah.
And it's a movie that I think people have mostly joked about for its entire existence, but recently people are starting to come around to that might have actually been pretty good. Let's revisit On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And there's all these
Interesting.
rumors
Cool.
that the next Bond movie is going to borrow.
A lot
El-
from that one.
It might borrow elements from this because this is a movie where James Bond actually gets married.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. The IMDb proper synopsis for it is James Bond woos a mob boss's daughter and goes undercover to uncover the true reason for Blofeld's allergy research in the Swiss Alps that involves beautiful women from around the world. It's like kind of right in the middle of your bonds between being really goofy and being more like a fairly straightforward spy movie.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's an oddity, but I also feel like it's a decent representation of the franchise as a whole.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
our
good stuff.
pitches for episode 69 are Sex Criminals, Boogie Nights, and 1969's own On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Okay. Actually kind of surprised that you didn't pitch Sex Education, the Netflix original show.
I didn't want to watch something with teens. We just did teens.
Yeah, but it's got Gillian Anderson, and she looks great still.
She's very tempting always.
Yeah, very tempting.
If the show was all Gillian Anderson and no teens, it would be up here.
There you go. I'm gonna have to go with Sex Criminals just because of how much fun that comic is.
It is.
You really need to read this book.
Right? Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. We are going to have a lot of fun with this. We're doing the first 2 volumes, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That is what we will be back with for next week. Sex Criminals Volumes 1 and 2 by Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky. By the way, if you don't follow Chip Zdarsky on Twitter and stuff like that, he is a national treasure.
He seems like such a delight.
He is so fucking funny. But yes, go check that book out. Go buy it from Barnes & Noble, your local comic book store. Go check it out from the library. Do whatever you need to do. It is amazing. We'll be back next week for that one. Melissa, where can they find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at WilkyWit. That's WILKYWIT.
And I am at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter and Instagram. We are at the Whatnauts. If you guys want to follow us on Twitter, stay updated with all of the stuff that we do. Patreon.com/the Whatnauts is where you can toss us a couple bucks. Get all sorts of perks and exclusive content. We also do want to give a big thank you and shout out to Sam and Christine for supporting us at the $5 tier. I guess you guys are our Patreon producers or whatever other podcasts like to call that. Thank you guys a lot, because it means a lot to us to have your support. Thewhatnauts.com is our website. You can find all the stuff we do there. We have multiple podcasts.
We do.
Search The Whatnauts on whatever podcast app you have, and you'll find all of our shows right there. That being said, go like, share, subscribe, sell your soul, tell a friend. We will be back next week for episode 69. Adios, guys.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching that episode of the Whatnauts Review Show. Let us know what you guys thought of Titans Season 1 in the comments below. That would help us out a ton. Go subscribe to our channel, which is right up here. Go watch one of our other videos right down there. We got all sorts of other podcasts for you, so be sure to check those out. Like, share, subscribe, sell your soul, do all those things. Tell a friend, tell a foe. With that, Teen Titans!